excuse me, greetings and the best of salutations. Excuse me. Just want to express myself in this wise for self introspection, therapeutic expression, personal healing. I was interacting with a proprietor, owner of a store, or it is perceived as such, if I may use that, only because in my mind, when I see a different ethic, different ethnicity, other than one who has been already born here in the United States, automatically when I see them behind the counter, my mind is that they are the proprietors or the owners. Opportunity is a direct correlation of ownership. So yes, so as I was, I noticed about her demeanor. She's, I don't know her, but every time I interact with her behind the counter, that she's very polite, even tempered, and I've noticed that in interacting with, if I noticed that with certain presentations that some people from different ethnicities, other than being bred here in the United States, that their attitude is a little different, and it's about, man, the keeping the proper attitude, because anything that a person does, whether it is here or in the or abroad, to do any dealing with any form of abusing another, it is a dehumanization process, and that deals with one's attitude. The attitude, it says, has been described as the thoughts and feelings which determine behavior, often times seen as positive and negative. Attitude has been described of thoughts as thoughts, feelings which determine behavior. Attitude is often times, it could be off time, not in sync with time, seen as positive in success. That was taken from a book by Lloyd E. Affleck, A Teen Ager's Guide to Success. It is said that that which people call slavery was a dehumanization process. And I'm not just trying to deal with specifically with that there. But I just want to say that I think one must come to realize that people have not that the psychosocial dislocation of the brothers that are here and the Africans that were bred here, raised here, and the psychosocial dislocation that they have with Africa, and now they have a psychosocial location here in America, and therefore they have the emotional ties. Their emotions are tied to here, and maybe their emotions could be tied back to Africa. That's something to be explored, and that's not my really my field. But I know that the in this behavior, as is pain about attitude and thoughts and feelings, maybe how do we merge the two? And many people have came and talks about color line and wanting to be America, and be American, which maybe proves our legitimacy, trying to prove our legitimacy here. They still have some connections with Africa, but we're new people, and I'm saying we're talking about a culture. We have a unique. We are a unique people. Are we you more unique than anyone else? No one has no. I'm not trying to monopolize the uniqueness of us of being here, making it, one is holding it in high esteem and holding someone else's in low esteem. But the influence of our rearing of our children here is we have emotional ties here. We have a instead of, and if we continue to deny our emotional ties here, then we will be suppressing our emotions as it pertains to our contributions that one has made here. And I'm not saying one make a contribution in the sense of trying to prove one's legitimacy. I mean the contribution that one has made to what he or she had to endure and still is enduring and going through, but yet to remain humane and civil as that's a contribution. That's a contribution. So some must pay homage and tribute to that contribution. You can say that to other ethnic groups who are people who or other people who maybe are the same ethnic group who exploit their own the humanity of others, and yet they still remain civil. That's a contribution to humanity. So, but as I was back to talking to this individual, I asked her, "Do you ever get angry?" She said, "I don't understand. Do you ever get mad? I don't understand. Do you ever get upset?" I don't understand. Now, she said that she didn't understand what I was saying, probably because the language in which I was using, because language is important. The thing for me is that if you don't understand that language, and remember it says attitude has been described as the thoughts and feelings which determine one's behavior. At least she gave the impression to me if she didn't understand that, that means that she doesn't behave in that manner. because I couldn't give a clear description that which she did not understand. But the attitude has been described as the thoughts and feelings which determine one's behavior. That's why I say that. I'm not saying that other ethnic groups do not have a have attitude. They don't get roused up. That they don't when it comes to their emotions. But if you are reared a certain way and raised or reared in a certain way in the environment and in your home, primarily in your home, and then they keep their attitude, their behavior intact and don't vacillate up and down, then that spills out on uh, that spills out on you. That influence has an effect on you. But if you are more than likely very irrational, don't know how to keep your attitude or your emotions in check, it more than likely it would affect the children as well. So therefore, the children they may go somewhere else and they may interact with other people who don't know how to keep their emotions in check, and the way they go ahead and lash out one with another is not by way of violence or any other activity that could seem to be very aggressive. But if you hook up with other family members and then people in the community, maybe your organization, whatever, that they keep their emotions check. But does not mean that they don't have no anger. Don't mean that they won't, attack, but it's less visible, it's less seen, it is more under control. So that's why one must be careful when he or she make a decision. If you're making an emotional decision, without the assistance of his intellect or his intelligence, and that becomes a problem. That becomes a bad decision, not a good decision, not a good decision. So, but when the lady was unable to answer the question that I asked her, I walked away almost depleted, so hit with a blow. And I said, well, how many times how I see the response and the reactions of people who are bred here in America, the African Americans, how this is not always the case, but how what is being projected and how I respond, in a way that is very it's like you've been deceived, lied to, and you wake up hostile, you know, groggy, and you want to attack something, attack something, attack someone. Let's look at this attitude as defined in this book. It says that the positive attitude describes one's orientation. So it's all in the orientation. I would say that uh, orientation precedes education, and discipline precedes knowledge. It says the positive attitude, and the prefix of the word positive is pos, is to have access to, excuse me, and which manifests itself in a healthy approach to life. A healthy approach, I always say a universal approach, holistic approach, conscientious approach, holistic approach, which manifests itself in a healthy life or a healthy approach toward life, a realignment, living. To be positive is to look towards life with delight, to celebrate each day, to be upbeat, not being uh, the victim, but move from victim to victory. To be upbeat, not to be down, depressed. To display type of behavior, to display a type, a type. They have blood type, but this is a type. You type something in. A of a behavior which indicates one's joy to what? To live, or joy to be alive. The joy, happiness is the joy that you feel when you are in pursuit of your potential. The key to social life is family. Those who participate in it, find joy in that participation. And those who don't find joy in misery. People whose attitude is positive usually are optimistic. Now we're dealing with problem solving skills. Because an optimist look at a difficulty and see the opportunity. Pessimist sees an opportunity as something that is difficulty. Now realizing out of difficulty comes ease. Within the difficulty there is relief. It can be difficult when there's to maintain your focus with many disturbances that is going on around you. To keep your focus on what your goal is, because it says that a problem comes about when you take your eye off your goal. So the people whose attitude is positive, usually optimists, they tend to look on the good side of everything. Even when things are not going well, they are able to see a silver lining behind every dark cloud. They are true believers in the phrase, a failure is nothing but an opportunity to do better the next time you try. Once again, a failure is nothing but an opportunity to do better the next time you try. So you don't want to try to the betterment of the development of our intellect for the betterment of humanity to do better the next time. The opportunity that we have. That's why I have three core values: opportunity, expression, and appreciation. People whose attitude is positive are usually goal oriented. Usually, does not necessarily mean that it's so. Usually, usually has something that continued upon all and that which we make our alliances with. Huh? And that becomes our ally. Goal oriented, they look toward each new day with a feeling that it will bring them one step closer to the achievement of their, he says it's here, your dream. But some people say nothing comes to a dreamer but a nightmare. That's the saying that people say. If there is some truth to that, people can dream. It don't necessarily mean that it's a nightmare. So something is in your subconscious mind. But you come closer because now we deal with organizational structure, which means how we organize our thoughts. And realize that mental labor precedes physical labor. How we organize our thoughts, and that which determines our accomplishments and our limitations. People with positive attitudes are a pleasure to be with. If someone is a pleasure to be with, that means that there is no pleasure without responsibility. So there is the pleasure, then comes the responsibility to be with one with another, and that has something to do with forming relationships with each other. Their warm personalities. Person is that through which sound is made. Before there is motion, there is sounds. Their personalities. Person. Per perfection or per affection, that which we have affection for, because a truly educated person is designed to teach one to have affection for discipline. Tend to be contagious. Something that is contagious. You can catch it. And that's why when we're talking about a spark of divinity, a spark can lead you to a fire. It's contagious. It spreads. That's why character is the outgrowth of one's humanity. That's contagious. The material that has been given to us to build on our humanity is character. That's contagious. Like a snowball rolling. Yes, that's contagious. They make others feel it is great to be alive. If you look at humans, whatever it is that they're going through life, they may be challenged, but you can still see the beauty of their soul. But you can see that there is something that is troubling them, but you still can see the beauty of their soul. That's a beautiful soul there. If we learn to continue to make connections with the soul, rather than the physical form that the soul is housed in, you can look at the eyes, look at the soul, the eyes, look at it. You make that connection. We know that the form is there. The soul is just housed in this body, is the form. See that soul. See the beauty of your own soul. Now, the negative is to negate access to. Remember, positive access to, and negate is to block access to. The access to what? To having the correct outlook on life. And what is that correct outlook on life? The star, the moon, the sun, they are interdependent of each other. They coexist with one another naturally, evolving. So, as humans, as a living organism, is constantly evolving and growing, the pleasure, along with the responsibility, the warm personality, the feelings, thoughts that one has, that it's great to be alive. Living is to realign yourself. Therefore, balance is the key to life. Logic and emotion, balance, thoughts and feelings, balance, yin and yang, balance, pairs, male and female, balance, balance. When you are balanced, it's hard to find your way. Probably you're walking, you wind up bumping into something, you have lost your bearings. Well, culture does help us find our bearings. So, negative attitude exists when the individual is always looking at a gloomy side. You can't change your world or your reality if you're bombarded with gloom and doom. Such as an individual always find a reason why a plan will not work. If people don't see an issue with their actions, they will never change. People got a pessimist got a problem for every solution. People with negative attitudes are pessimists. They are not joy to be around, for they are not supportive, encouraging, or uplifting. Unlike positive thinking, people who tend to attract friends, negative thinking people repel others because they never see the good side of anything and are constantly looking for reasons for efforts to fail. They are not goal oriented. They are not dreamers. They tend to live a life of doubt. Now we're dealing with an environment of misgivings. An environment of misgivings. Yes. Doubt. That's doubt. Doubt in your ability. You miss that which has been given to you. If you miss that which has been given to you, which is time, because you did not invest it and utilize the time properly, as a result, talks about regret. That comes about regret. Tend to live a life without fear and insecurity. When people participate in acts of violence, people are dealing with a sense of feeling of insecurity, deep feeling of insecurities and feelings of inadequacy, so they try to make up for it by being violent. It goes on to hear about teenagers' meaning of attitude. Don't the statistics benefit the statistician, but hey, whenever the term attitude is used by a typical teenager, he or she is referring to a negative type of behavior as far as the peer group is concerned. Some deal with peer pressure, some deal with parental pressure. Pressure, it's like when you go to the dentist, they give you Novocaine. You can, you can feel the pressure, but you can't feel the pain. Pressure deals with physics too as well. You only can take but so much, and have to deal with tolerance, that which you can withstand and that which you can take. So in anything, first you get an understanding, and once you get an understanding, then with any individual and even with yourself, you understand what you can tolerate and what you can't tolerate about yourself and about others. Tolerance level. So use the term is used to mean a behavior lacking in warmth or friendliness. Attitude here indicates distance from the group or a individual. Distance from the group or the individual. Use the term negative. So you distance yourself. And Tesla said that antisocial behavior. I'm paraphrasing. It's like ain't nothing wrong with it, but the genius I produced. Tesla would say, you know. But need to say, lacking warmth or friendliness. As they said it earlier, to repel people. And say sometimes, man, it may be good to repel certain attitudes and certain people. So the attitude here indicates distance from the group or an individual. Sometimes the term may be, we dealing with the word term. A term means something runs out. It's just a term. Maybe even used to suggest an air of superiority, which is manifested through looks. Now we're dealing with, if we get to political term, segregation, separation, or we deal with class, we deal with what we call race, politics, religion, suggest an air of superiority, I'm better than you and I don't, no need for me to mix or interact with you. Because remember, as I stated earlier, that I talked with the lady of a different ethnicity, if I may use that term. When I use the word anger, frustration, mad, upset, don't understand. Do she ever get angry or mad or upset? She said, don't understand. Like, if she doesn't understand in her life maybe how she is raised, don't mean it is so that there was no reason for her to get upset, mad, angry, and frustration. I'm not saying that's the case. This is how I'm just expressing it. Because we all have feelings, we all have emotions. Some people just can, don't overtly show it that they're mad, that they're upset. But I'm saying our unique, the African American, as we would call it, some would call it the the the, uh, the Native American, but anyone has been abused and misused in a manner and way in which people that were hijacked and brought here. Um, and I'm not saying it in a way that's you know isolating any activity of misgivings or misappropriate use of how a people got here by by other people who other people in regards to the business dealings and the business interactions and the deceit and the deceptions of all who are have some hands in a people being um, brought here because it's really a call right now. So back to one's humanity, but I just want to deal with this unique experience here by people when it comes to their feelings, their emotions, the language, their attitude, their thoughts, and their actions. Okay, uh, sometimes the term may be used still with the teen ages, the meaning of attitude manifest through looks. Like, hey man, what you looking at, man? There was a story about, like I said once before, a person can look right, they can look at you, but they looking right through you. Then they can look at you with disdainment. You know what I'm saying? Or even the way in which an individual walks or sits. And you know how we feel. Some people has developed an attitude they just don't like you because they just don't like you. What reason? Because remember, we're dealing with here that an attitude has been described as the thoughts and feelings which determine their behavior. Attitude is oftentimes seen as positive and negative. He or she who controls the projection can project anything that they want to project about you. So what is influencing an individual that make him feel as though that you have an air of superiority, huh, over another human being? Or what would make you think that you will look down on an individual? And what would make you even, hate the way an individual walk, an individual sit? That's some underdeveloped, immature, emotional, radical, psychosocial dislocation, emotional displacement. Shit, that's sick, man. That's sick. Say a student whose behavior displays attitude in a student whose action or body language clearly says, I prefer to be on my own, be guided by my own thoughts and feelings and not by that of the group. At least for a time being, such behavior sometimes suggests that something has changed. Now, I understand that personally. Yeah, personally, I know that sounds like me. Yes, I tend to avoid what people call useless chatter, and I don't necessarily want to be around things that is that I dim is unacceptable And that's my individual decision, my individual choice, not to. If I don't want to, then I don't have to. But sometimes, if you establish some relationship with people, sometimes they feel as though that, you think that you're better than the next person. No, I know that me personally, I know that the individual, he or him can do better. So I don't want to become an enabler in justifying the behavior of that particular individual. So I stay away from it. And I think that's another challenge that we have, that in the influence of a society, is that we have, the unique experience here, that we have become like enablers to each other. I see that on a daily basis. I also see on a daily basis how, we have, like respect for others, you know, people, um, whatever career or job they may have, they tell you to do something for these orders, but when you're around your people that is close to you, you change. You change. You don't have the same respect, because the laws of physics says if someone can exact the same force on you, uh, that you can exact the same force that they exact on you, they will proceed with caution. We just want to improve upon the situation. We want to improve upon our life. We want to improve upon our behavior. We want to improve upon our attitude. We want to improve upon our emotion. We want to improve upon our language. We want to improve upon our actions. We want to improve upon the development of our intellect for the betterment of humanity. That's what we want to improve upon. And the aim is accountability. The ultimate aim is civility, complete civility. For that we should be at peace. On the other hand, behavior change could be the result of the individual decision to withdraw from the group in order that he or she might be able to arrange higher priorities. An individual's behavior might also display an attitude or show distance from the group, not because of his or her choosing, but because of parental pressure. I said earlier about parental pressure in comparison to peer pressure. Pressure might be brought to bear by parents if it is observed that the son or daughter's grades are failing. I remember there was a coach here in this United States of America. He passed, now he made his transition. Known coach in one of these, what they call institutions of higher learning. He knew his sons. He knew one son he could keep a tight ruin on, and the other son you could let him do his thing. That's parenting. Parenting knows the moves of the children. They ran it. They gave birth to them. They around them. They know them. They know one who is more responsible than the next person, the next son. The parents really, if a parent is a parent, the parent has your best interest at heart. They know, they come to know you because they know themselves. For example, one son may have a vehicle and driving. He may be, anything could occur, but he knows the son that has the vehicle is more responsible because he has shown himself to be more responsible with the vehicle. We know that anything can happen. Then another son, he's old enough, and he's a daughter that she's old enough or whatever that he or she is unable to drive, but the parents know, or one of them may know, and they work in unison with one another that no, you're not ready yet. You know what I'm saying? But they have their children's best interest at heart. And sometimes some parents will go, if a child is interacting with a child that is doing something wrong and going in the wrong way, a parent would even go talk to that parent, that child's parent, and say, man, something is not right here. And that parent may not even listen, and he may even talk to the child, may talk to their son and say, listen, man, you got not to hang with this cat, because they see something, because of their interest and their love, and they see something that is happening down the line, that if you don't get away from this particular child, then something is going to happen. And lo and behold, something happened. They saw that. But the parent of the child, that something had happened, has lost control of the child, don't know what has transpired in their internal life, don't know if they have connected with a community or a organization or what have you that could help the child, you know what I'm saying, to change his or her course of act, to change his attitude, to change his perception, to change his behavior, to think more positive. Because all the child is trying to do is think more positive of him or herself. That's all. Find value in him or herself. So that's why it's important, man, of parenting, and the journey to community life is a journey to the human excellence. It's important. It's important. So, I know instances where personally around a child and tried to set the best example, and the mother, she was what they call was raising the child, and the child had cousins and aunts, and tried a positive attitude, but the child, made it the mother and whatever influence that the child had didn't have the negative influence did not impact him to a point where he wasn't able to listen, and the positive had a greater influence on the negative influence, and the child went away and got the help that the child needed and got the discipline. Now the child has once again, as the word learning how to live life is to realign him or herself. When one realign him or herself, he or she has found the balance that he needs. Huh? Yeah. Man, I wish I'd have known this 40 years ago. Or listen, or paid or acknowledge, pay some attention. But the past is just a reference point; it's not a place of residence. So yes. As they separate themselves, the parents has observed that the son and daughter grades are failing, or that there is an obvious change in the behavior which they interpreted as a result of peer group pressure in order to bring their son or daughter back in line. Huh? Realignment, man. That's some powerful stuff, man. Reset. Reset. A reset button is to realign. Rest. Peace. Respect. Rest. In order to bring their son daughter back in line with parental expectations, the son or the daughter might be ordered to conform with certain rules, including discounting relationship with some friends who might be members of the group. What comes about here as an air of superiority might merely be a defense mechanism against probing questions from the peer group. Sometimes an individual might appear to be displaying an attitude when in truth the individual's behavior is being misinterpreted. A student may appear to be distant or aloof when in reality his or her behavior is the result of other factors. Nervousness, shyness, even feelings of inferiority might be misinterpreted as an attitude. When the individual's true feelings are discovered, it might be found that he or she is far different from the first impression given. We can't, we give the impression if we are this and really we are that. You think about that. Teenagers by nature want to belong. People are looking for a place belonging. Whenever, therefore, there are behavior indicators which suggest otherwise, there are usually good reasons for such behaviors. Attitude, negative or positive, or attitude. The problem is not the problem, it's the attitude that we have about the problem. What is the problem? When you take your eyes off your goal, it becomes a problem. Problem many times we suffer from an identity crisis. What is the problem? That we are not able to gain confidence in our natural ability fast enough. Confidence in ourselves fast enough. To love and appreciate ourselves fast enough. Used by teenagers is very important. It defines an individual's relationship to others. Teenagers by nature want to belong. Whenever, therefore, there are behavior indicators with such with suggestions, which is really not a suggestion, is really not an answer, but that's okay. Which suggests otherwise, there are usually good reasons for such behaviors. Attitude, negative or positive, or attitude are used by teenagers is very important. It defines an individual's relationships to others as in at least in the short term, it says something about the individual's thoughts and feelings about others with whom he or she interacts. Like a little child, you never know. You cannot destroy the confidence of a child. I remember there was a story about a sister who was a very, what they call an athlete, and she was doing an interview with her father, and she wanted to succeed, and the guy kept questioning her, "Are you going to succeed? I mean, are you going to do this?" And the father said, "Man, do not destroy that. Do not destroy confidence. Stop questioning her. Stop making her doubt herself. Stop making her doubt her ability for greatness and to succeed, to be successful." The only game I know is the game of confidence. And when someone tricks you and gain your confidence and you put your confidence in him, then they take your confidence for you. That is a reputation that has preceded his or herself. Confidence trickster, I call it. The beginnings of the African American societies and cultures. And I'm going to close with this little bit, tad bit. Before any aggregate of plantation, slaves could begin to create valuable institute which brings together into a whole aggregate. They will have to deal with the what? Traumata or the trauma of capture or being captured. Enslavement and transport. Hence the beginning of what would later develop into African American culture. Family again. The unique experience. The beginnings of African American society. We are new people. A type. Whatever that type may be. Before any aggregate, that which comes together whole. Of plantation, slaves could begin to create viable institutions. They would have to deal with the trauma of capture. Be leery, not so much of the capture, but of the slave maker who have captured your intelligence, your imagination, and your activity in the manner and the way in which you interact one with another. They have captured your perception, the way you see things, how they want you to see things. through their lenses. Because at one time we were unable to articulate our experience, that someone else had to articulate our experience for us. So we must deal with that trauma of capture, or being captured, or being in captivity by the trauma. The trauma is designed, it's meant to enslave the language, the feelings, the emotion, the thoughts, the attitude, and the action. I'm talking about the trauma. And it's being transported. It has a port. In fact about it, it becomes a game of sport and play. We must deal with this. Until we deal with that, then we will see if we have dealt with it. Because what will later develop into the African American culture. Until next time, Reverend Walamu Kevin, teachers of teachers, preachers of preachers when it comes from the heart, symbol of the language of knowledge of truth, conciliatory healer, social interventionist, attorney general for human salvation, genuine thought leader. Our mandate is to cultivate the potential knowledge that is in ourselves. Mission is to promote the value of self-worth. Our motto is to communicate with precision and clearer image to the heart, clearer image to the world through 5.5 channels of communication: understanding, tolerance, temperance, confidence, and respect, as well as the symbol of the language of knowledge and peace. I am a consequentialist. I live my life as an aspirant to be an inspiration to others, to myself as well as to others. I come in the spirit of cooperation. For me, leadership is coordination. And the authority of which I speak from is resiliency, because resiliency is the author of success. Anyone to donate? The Cash App is CH Mission. CH Mission, $1, $5, $10, $20, $50, $100. We always say give to the gift of social literacy. Give to the gift of social literacy. Until next time, talk to you.